Good morning. Welcome to St. Paul's Universalist Church. I have several announcements to share with the congregation. This is from our friend Teal Carpenter up at the Salisbury Universalist Society. A reminder that there will be a roast beef dinner, October 14th, 2023, takeout or buffet. Buffet? I think I'm reading it right. 4 p.m. till sold out. If it's like anything else, you want to get there for 4 p.m., if not earlier, because it will probably be sold out by 4:30. $13 per person.
What's the date again?
The what?
The date.
14th. 14th. Yeah, October 14th. There are posters to distribute for the meatloaf dinner that we host here. Please take some and distribute them far and wide. That will be first Sunday in November.
Yep.
It's the clock change day. Okay. Are we still going to do that after this year? I don't know. They're talking about it. Okay. A reminder, on the 29th of this month, it is our turn to host our cluster service. We have those, the 4 churches of the Mohawk Valley cluster. We're kind of an informal cluster, but we host each other 4 times a year, and our turn is the end of October. Please note that instead of 10, the church service will start at 10:30 that day, and there's a sign-up sheet in the back for a dish to pass. Are there any other announcements that anyone wishes to share with the congregation? Hearing none, let us proceed to our musical call to worship. Service with the words of the late Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, "We humans have lost the wisdom of genuinely resting and relaxing. We worry too much. We don't allow our bodies to heal, and we don't allow our minds and hearts to heal." As is our tradition, we open our services with the lighting of our chalice. As I do so, I invite you to join me in the words. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage. And our opening song is number 90.
From all of red and fever
of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another and with our God. We are now at the time of our service where we share joys, sorrows, and concerns. I have several. So the candle of joy, I'd like to welcome our friends Tim and Peggy Spencer Barrett, both musicians, both authors, and in Peg's Tales from Shawangunk in the Mohawk Valley Living that I try to pick up. She frequently mentions Tim's daughter Rebecca, and she's here too. See, I was getting to it. Yes.
And Jeff, this is Linda. She just joined us from Ilion.
Hi, Linda from Ilion. Let's light a candle.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Welcome, Linda. And all sorts of birthdays this week. birthday this week? You can smile. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And Pat, tomorrow. And Pat, I did not forget. Ann Kazmersky, a young 103 years old this week.
She enjoyed the flowers that were sent to her from the church.
Very good.
Yeah. And today is Peggy's birthday.
Oh, well, here you go, Peg. Here's another one. Huh? 75. And brave. Not everybody wants to admit their age. I always, just subtract 30 and then say it's my whatever 30th birthday. Speaking of anniversaries or of a type, thanks to Facebook, I'm always reminded, I just finished my 9th year as your minister, and here's to year number 10. Thank you for your support and for your faith in me and this community that we have together in Little Falls. All right, I'm done running my mouth. Anyone else want to share anything?
This is for my daughter Rachel. She just had a second knee surgery in just a few months. The first one was more of an exploratory nature and didn't really fix the problem, which goes back about 16 years to athletic injuries that she sustained, and it all kind of came to a head, and she was dealing with a lot of pain. But anyway, she had a major procedure done a few days ago at Yale University Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut, and hopefully by going there and seeing a specialist in that area, we're hoping that she'll regain full use of that knee and be able to not only go back to work, but resume hiking her beloved Adirondack Mountains. So this is hoping for a full recovery for her.
Richard had surgery this past week. Richard Marrero.
Oh, Richard Murray from our friends in St.
He
John's.
told us he was going in for surgery, so hope it went well.
Okay. I've been so busy of late, I haven't really been following it, but I do know that Israel formally declared war on the Palestinians. So prayers for peace in the Middle East. It is an area that is in constant turmoil and has been in constant turmoil for a lot of human recorded history. And as is our tradition, I light a final candle for any joys, sorrows, or concerns that go unspoken but remain in our hearts and minds. And we will now give and receive the morning offering to support the work, the wonder, and the witness of this community. I'd like to invite you to now join me in a time of prayerful meditation. These are the words of Marta Valentin. In gatherings we are stirred, like the leaves of the fall season, rustling around sacred trees, tossed hither and yon, until we come to rest together, quietly, softly. We come to gather strength from each other. We come to give strength to each other. We come to ask for strength from the Spirit of all that is and is not. When our hearts sing, or when they frown, it is the way of compassion telling us to give. It is the way of peace telling us to share our gifts. For we are happiest and most powerful when love is made apparent in and through us. Spirit of the circle that is love, as we twirl in this dance that is life, we give thanks for reminding us each day of our task of ministering to each other with a searching glance, a safe touch, a generous smile, a thoughtful word. Thank you for reminding us that we are always building our beloved community. Thank you for reminding us that through our covenant with you, we covenant with each other and are made whole. In gratitude, we celebrate with open hearts and minds. We discover who we are, separate from each other and within one another. In this circle that holds all life, may we ever work toward widening its boundaries until there are none. Amen. Peace and blessed be. Let us now share a moment of silence where we listen to the wisdom of our hearts and minds. Next song is in the Teal Hymnal Supplement, number 250. Many of us resisted it when we were little. I know I sure did. Popular wisdom tells us it is something that is denied to both the wicked and the weary. I'm talking about rest. We live in a society that tends to turn its collective nose up at the idea of rest. Too often it is equated with laziness or a lack of ambition. The early bird catches the worm and all that, though the second mouse gets the cheese. Ours is a high-achieving, high-production culture that encourages people to burn the candle at both ends, resulting in a population that is chronically tired and burned out. And yet rest is essential to all life on earth. Every member of the animal kingdom, which includes us, needs some form of rest and recuperation in order to survive. Did you know that even snails dream? I don't know how they measure it, but they do. They need to rest. And it's not just animals. Plants have no nervous system, but scientists have shown that even they thrive better when they are exposed to a regular day-night cycle, just as we experience. And there's a misconception that rest equals sleep. And while, of course, it can include sleep, it is so much more than that. Rest equals restoration. And it turns out that there are 7 different types of rest, or restoration, that we need in order to maintain good health. And I'd like to offer them for your consideration. And while I want to talk about rest, I don't want to put you to sleep, so I'll try to keep this short. First type of rest, and the one that most of us think of if we say, what's rest? It's physical rest. And this can be either passive or active. What does that mean? Passive physical rest includes things like sleeping and napping. The things that most people, if you were to approach them on the street, would tell you is the definition of rest. Well, laying down, resting, sleeping, snoozing. In contrast, active physical rest means engaging in activities that are restorative to our bodies. Things like yoga, stretching, massage therapy, things that help improve our body's circulation and flexibility. Second type is mental rest. Because it's not just our bodies that need a break, but also our minds, sometimes more so than our bodies. Have you ever felt physically exhausted and you settle into bed and you can't sleep because your mind is racing? It's decided, well, maybe the body's ready, but the mind is not. If so, you may be suffering from mental exhaustion. Our minds need just as much rest as our bodies do. And most experts believe that part of the reason we dream, and it turns out that most animals also dream, like snails, and most other animals they can hook electrodes up to the heads of. But the function of dreaming, in part, is that it serves to restore our mental functioning. One way to get a mental break is to engage in an activity that requires us to focus on a task in such a way that it keeps our mind focused on the present. This could be something like working with our hands to build, or crochet, or knit, or those coloring books for adults that are all the rage. Or to engage in actual meditation, things that just keep you focused on the present. Give your mind a break. You're not dwelling on the anxieties of the past or the worries of the future. You're just being. with your thoughts and your activity. Even short breaks built into our busy schedules can help support our mental health. We taxed the limits of this one yesterday, didn't we, Dawn? We went to Boston to visit our son. And the third type of rest is sensory rest. More than at any previous time in history, our world is filled with bright lights, computer screens, televisions, background noise, and multiple conversations, all of which can cause our actual senses to overload, or at least be overwhelmed. Visiting our son yesterday in Boston, it was good to see him, and it's exciting to wander the streets of a big city, but as someone who lives in a rural area, by the time it's time to go, you're ready to go because it's just on. Younger generations, those of you who have children or grandchildren, will note that they are especially susceptible to the overstimulation made available by modern technology. Any kid born after like 1995 has never known a world without the internet and screens and handheld devices that get smaller and faster and more clever and distract them. And there are actual places where you can go and be placed in what they call a sensory deprivation tank. So you kind of go into this, for lack of a better word, casket-like thing, but it's just a thing they put you in. And it limits your senses. It limits your hearing, your sight. And people, most people, if they're not claustrophobic, who partake in that report feeling very peaceful and refreshed following such an experience and just cutting off a lot of the sensory input. And of course, we don't need to go to such extremes, because while we live in a world of lights and screens and speakers, we also have off switches and plugs and volume control settings. We can turn it on, but we can also turn it off and give our senses a break. Here's one that a lot of us suffer from: a lack of emotional rest. Are you a people pleaser? Do you find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no? Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed, but you're the person everyone depends on in your household or your social network? Are you what psychologists call a type C personality, which is someone who gives and gives and gives of themselves until they feel like there's nothing left? They empty their metaphorical cup, but they don't refill it. Or maybe you work in a job that causes a lot of emotional stress. You have to deal with crises without losing your cool. Emotional rest means having the time and space to freely express your feelings and to cut back on the people-pleasing. It also requires the courage and the freedom to be your authentic self. A simple example of this is one's response to the question, "How are you?" How many times have you been asked that and you just reflexively say, "I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay," when you were not good and you were not fine and you were not okay? An emotionally rested person can answer those questions honestly and then share some of the hard things they're experiencing that otherwise go unsaid. And that often goes hand in hand with social rest. This is a type of rest we get by spending time in the presence of good company, trusted friends and family and acquaintances. And part of what supports that is being able to tell the difference, because this is another thing that we struggle with a lot, I've noticed. Being able to tell the difference between those relationships that revive us, that restore us, as opposed to those that exhaust us. You ever stop and think, oh, I'm talking to this person, but I just feel like they're sucking the life out of me. As a psychologist, I run into them a fair amount of time, but you don't have to be a psychologist. So knowing how to make that differentiation requires you to, surround yourself with positive, supportive people. That's why social networking is so important. Humans are social creatures. It is argued that a large part of our success as a species is our ability to network with one another toward a common goal, common survival. The next type is creative rest. Creative rest reawakens the wonder and awe inside each of us. Do you remember the first time you saw the ocean or a waterfall? Or think of driving through the foliage we are blessed with in this area. Or the first time you experienced a moving piece of music. I can still remember being a kid and dun 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 dun. And that has stuck with me, even though I lean more toward Bach than Beethoven these days. Allowing ourselves to take in the beauty of the outdoors, even if it's at a local park or in your backyard or up in the Adirondacks or down by the canal, nourishes our need for creative rest. And as I was saying, it's not just limited to nature. It can include enjoying the arts, appreciating a painting, a statue, a photograph, a stirring piece of music. You can satisfy your need for creative rest also by displaying images of places you love or works of art that speak to you. That's why most of us don't have just bare walls in our workspaces or our homes. We're kind of unconsciously engaging in a form of creative rest. And creative rest, in turn, feeds our own creativity and inspires us. The final type of rest, and a fitting one to end on, considering where we are, is spiritual rest. This is the ability to connect with those things greater than ourselves. And especially in a church like this, that is different for each of us. It's different for people in other types of churches, but for us, we almost encourage, well, not almost, we encourage that and relish in that and delight in that, like connecting with whatever we feel is greater than ourselves. Things that go beyond the physical and mental and give us a deep sense of belonging and love, acceptance and purpose. Spiritual rest comes through things like prayer or meditation. It can also come from serving others, sharing in fellowship. It is my hope that anyone who comes here on a Sunday morning receives at least some spiritual nourishment. The biblical book of Genesis tells us that even the Almighty took a break after 6 days of bringing about the creation. In fact, later on, God thought it was so important to take a break that it's included, it's one of the 10 Commandments. The formal term is the Sabbath. So to wrap things up, I encourage you to look after yourselves. Nurture your need for rest, whatever type or types you need at the time. And if you can't fit it in, make sure that you try to schedule it for, get something in there where you can, because it's important to take your own Sabbath, as it were. And there are others who depend on you. And it is very hard to take care of them if you can't take care of yourself. May it be so. And speaking of creative rest, one of my favorites, 1064. Adam Grant. He reminds us that resting is not a waste of time. It's an investment in well-being. Relaxing is not a sign of laziness. It's a source of energy. Breaks are not a distraction. They are a chance to refocus attention. Play is not a frivolous activity. It's a path to connection and creativity. Please join me in the words as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forward the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth.